So, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Expat Pod.
Thank you.
My name's James. I'm your host, and I'm with Javier
Bernalte.
Bernalte.
Javier Bernalte.
Yeah.
That's me.
We're here to talk about Javier moving from Spain or Valencia
That's what you think.
to Sweden, to Gothenburg.
We'll see where the conversation leads. But,
And have you lived anywhere else at the two places?
I have. Actually, we go back. I mean, this is my 8th year in Sweden. Prior to that, I was in Germany for 1.5 or so. I was never expected to be there for so long. Same thing as with Sweden. But I studied there. I finished my degree in Germany. Can I swear? It's a crappy town in the middle of Germany. It wasn't that fancy or anything. But then I finished my degree in mechanical engineering, and then I also met my girlfriend. At the time, we're no longer together. But what was supposed to be a 9-month stay or so became like a...
In Germany?
In Germany. And this is a little bit important because, it will lead to something later. But I spent about 18 months or so there, so 1.5 years. And part of that was, part of the reason was meeting my girlfriend. You know how it is, right?
Yeah.
So everything was slowed down a bit. But then I would say that experience in Germany sort of sparked in me, this wish to be abroad and this...
Travel further north?
To be fair, when I came back to Spain after finishing my studies and so on, then of course I applied for a job, and this first interview actually ever made, it was for the company that I ended up working for. But I never expected to like the job, so I had no expectations going into the interview. Not because I didn't suit the job posting, it was more that I didn't expect to like it.
Mm.
But then actually that's when they said, this is actually about being or becoming a resident engineer in Sweden. So you will be located inside Volvo facilities, and you will be a channel between us and Volvo. And that's actually what I liked. But I was a bit reluctant, I would say, because I expected this to be like Germany. And I didn't have the best experience. It was, I was an exchange student. Of course, exactly. So it was super fun. But I wouldn't have stayed there after that. I didn't like the country that much. And I really hope no Germans listen to this. But I expect...
Hopefully they will do. I'll have some more.
Yeah, I like Germany, don't get me wrong. But my experience, or let's say it's not good for me. It's too much of a cultural shock.
Yes. So who are you as a person, then? It's quite a deep question.
What is...
How do you characterize yourself?
Well, does Spanish mean something in itself? Because I'm very Spanish, I would say. For good and bad. I'm quite open, I would say, and I have always lived outside. One of the reasons why it took, and we will get to that, I guess, why it took me some time to adapt to the Swedish style of life is because I'm more used to living outside and spending as many hours as possible just, hiking or whatever it is.
It's the Swedish summer.
Yeah, and that's something you can do here for 6 months per year, but not the rest. So I'm someone, it's family, friends, and just doing stuff outside is pretty much what I spend my time doing. I'm a quite simple guy, really. Like sports, all kinds, as a Spanish guy. normally likes.
Not like winter sports, maybe that's...
No, exactly. I've never skied in my life. It's after 8 years in Sweden, believe it or not. But other than that, pretty normal guy.
So, hello and welcome to section 1 of the podcast, all about getting there. And as you've established, Javier's lived in both Germany and in Sweden. So, tell us a bit more about, how you got there, what you went for. We know you went for Erasmus and for work in Germany and Sweden, respectively. But, what did you do to do that? What did you have to fill out forms? How did you apply for those positions or those opportunities?
Also for Germany.
Both.
Yeah. The first one was pretty easy because it was through this Erasmus exchange program. So the uni simply offers those to students at some point. Normally it's during the 2nd or 3rd year of your degree. But actually I had a double degree in that sense. So it was a 3-year degree at first and then like a master thesis. It's not really a master thesis, but something like that, something weird at the time. They've changed it now. But on my 4th year then, me and some friends, we decided to go abroad. Pretty much because, I mean, in your head you think you're going to be partying all day long. I mean, it had nothing to do with opening up opportunities or anything like that. It was just a fun thing to do. So it was 4 of us, like the closest friends that I had made from uni. And then we wanted to find a destination that could accommodate all 4 of us, but there was no one that actually offered 4 spots. So then we had to split. So 2 of us went, Germany was the only country that actually had 4 postings, so to say, that you could apply for. So 2 of us ended up in Braunschweig, which was the name of the town I was in. And then the other 2 went to Aachen, which was maybe 300 kilometers away.
Yeah.
So we could still meet and so on, maybe the second month or so.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I didn't really have to worry that much about anything. University handled everything, so it's not like you need a visa or anything like that. So it's just
already know.
Yeah. So I was just jumping on the plane and then landing there. I had a room in a residence hall as soon as I landed. So I wouldn't say it was all rosy because you still have to do some paperwork. And I actually spoke a little bit of German, but not that much.
Ein bisschen Deutsch?
Ein bisschen Deutsch, correct. But the thing is, in Germany, it's not like Sweden. You must speak the language there just to get things done. And they almost expect you to speak the language, which is, fair enough. But my level...
English would do the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. But my level wasn't there yet. Got better, but not just when I started. So it was a bit of a struggle, also with lessons, attending classes and so on, because everything was in German. And again, I wasn't there. But that was Germany then.
And then Sweden, so how did you get to Sweden? What was the purpose for you going, and what did you have to do beforehand? Obviously, no visa required, but you had to have accommodation, plans how to get there. And...
Yeah. So pretty quick after I returned from Germany to Spain, of course, I began looking for a job. And the first interview I ever made was the one, it was the job I ended up taking. And as I said, that was I knew from day one, it was for being based abroad in Sweden. That's the thing that I like the most about the job posting. And then again, they prepared everything for me. So I didn't have to worry about accommodation or anything like that. Actually, it's probably the easiest possible landing you can have in this country, because finding accommodation, as you have seen yourself, is pretty difficult. So they found an apartment for me, extremely expensive, right in the city center. I had a company car, so everything was handled. The only thing, and I'm not sure if I should share this here, but I was actually illegally here, because I was spending more than 6 months per year here, so I should pay taxes here and everything. But that company didn't have an illegal entity here, so they could not hire me from Sweden. So I was traveling quite often back to Spain, but still more than 6 months per year I was thinking Sweden. But that was, I would say, landing part 1, which was not really living officially in Sweden, even though I was. Second one was 3-4 years after that, when I decided that I was no longer having fun at work. So then actually I had a bit of a crisis with my girlfriend as well. Went back to Spain for some time, just trying to settle down, think what I wanted to do next. And then I ended up returning to Sweden, because I had made some contacts and so on. If you had told me about it some time ago, I would have never thought that I would come back. But it was more appealing, work-wise. And there is when I actually faced all the problems that you are now, for example, facing yourself.
As the first-time person living here, doing all this help, right?
I was no longer getting the help from my companies. I had to, sort of do everything on my own. But
at least you knew the city.
Yes.
Did you have a personal number by the time you were...
I didn't. But the thing is, it's very easy once you have a job. The problem is when you don't have either a job or an ID, because you kind of need one to get the other. It's the same with the bank account and everything.
Well, yeah, but that's what I was going to say, because if you'd had that personal number before you moved back, you could have been joining home queue and
exactly.
3 years.
That's something, I guess we will get to accommodation maybe and those kind of things later. So home queue and so on is one of the issues, or one of the problems that they should have applied for. But important then is, because I had some contacts from my past experience here, it took me like a week to find a job. And then based on that, because I mean, it was not a friend, but someone I was close to and hired me directly. So, and then I knew people at Volvo, so I got an assignment directly, let's say. So that made it very easy just to get the paperwork. And then after that, I was applying for the personal ID. And after that, bank account, and then bank ID and everything. So that was the first time. Then 4 years after my initial stay, where I became sort of a Swedish citizen.
Or resident.
Or resident, I should say. Yeah.
Citizenship,
yeah.
Right?
That's yet to come. Maybe next year. We'll see.
And how long have you been in Sweden then, just so one knows?
So first time I landed here, like to stay, because I came previously a couple of times just to sort of know the city and so on. But first time was 3rd of August 2015. So it's 7.5 years.
I also came on the 3rd of August.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? Quite a coincidence. Okay.
Yeah, and it's my age as well.
Yeah, then you're gonna stay here for 7 more years. Just so you know.
If I can get a passport that's European.
Yeah, you're walking faster than I did because you have all the paperwork figured out. Right?
Yeah, that's quite useful. Hello, welcome to section 2 of the podcast, all about being there. So, all about your life in the countries you've lived. So, tell me about your first impressions of, I guess, living in Sweden. Let's do that one, because it's the one that's most recent. And
yeah. I say that I had a really good guide, because as I said before, when I came, it was through this company that already had let's say, someone located here in Sweden, a Swedish guy. So then he sort of took me under his arm and just showed me the place, but not only the place, he also showed me the Swedish lifestyle. And so I was invited often to barbecues at his place or whatever it was that he did. I think he did a great job of trying to, really show me how to live here in Sweden. And that made it easy. Also, it helped that I came in August, let's say, because if I had come in December, I would have left after 2 weeks. But I mean, it was a quite good time of the year to come for the first time, because maybe 1 or 2 weeks after I arrived for the first time, I was, on a boat in some lake.
Still during summer vacation, right? So you have...
Yeah, actually I came 1 month before I had to start to work. So I gave myself 3 weeks or so just to explore, to know the city and so on. And I think it was a really great decision. Because then I also started to socialize as well a little bit, because I came with my girlfriend, so at least I had someone to talk to.
Was she Spanish or Swedish?
She was Spanish. She was the one I met in Germany.
Okay.
So I sort of presented this as an adventure to her as well. Hey, would you like to come with me? And just...
Then did she also have a job here as well?
She didn't. She didn't in the beginning.
Because of the EU, she could move anywhere, right?
She could move, exactly. She also just got her degree, and she was a teacher for the small children, 0 to 6, preschool teacher. So, and she spoke good English, so there's a lot of international people here, so it was easy for her to find something. But going back to then the first impression, again, during the summertime, it's really easy to like Sweden. I mean, you have so many hours of sunlight and there's stuff to do. There's lakes around, there's hikes, there's, you can take the boat, it's very nature-oriented, I would say.
And all accessible from where you live as well.
Yeah, and that was actually a shock, because back where I am from, in Valencia, of course the beach is pretty close by, but if you're going on a hike or something, you have to take a car for starters, and then maybe drive for 45 minutes. And here you can take a tram, and in 5 minutes, like really 5 minutes, you're on a lake, and there's no buildings around, forest. So it's much closer to nature, I would say. And that is something I really liked in the beginning. So that was my first impression, I would say. Food was also a bit of a shock as well.
Okay.
Again, I expected this to be a little bit closer to Germany. So I thought it was meat and potatoes and all the time.
Meat and veg, right?
Yeah, but...
it has less coastline though, so seafood should be on the list.
Yeah, I expected shrimps to be better, but they are very chewy. They're like chewing gum.
They're on shrimps and prawns.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I expected for them to not have such a wide variety of food. It's like they almost recognize and acknowledge, okay, we don't have many things growing here, so they open up to different gastronomies from all over the world. So you can there's Indian restaurants, there's Japanese restaurants, there's Spanish restaurants, and that was quite different from Spain, because it's like we sort of take pride in our own gastronomy. So it's mostly tapas or whatever it is. It's very wide, but it's our own gastronomy. So
Before we quite similar to England, then, where we have our gastronomy, as you would say, but we also have a lot of Indian restaurants, a lot of Italian restaurants.
so not much of a shock for you then.
Varying different, cuisines. I think Gothenburg is quite similar to most cities I've lived in because you have the variety, you have a lot of things very similar. But maybe because it's also, I feel Sweden's very American.
Yeah, it
in
is.
a lot of its life. Like the 7-Eleven on every corner store.
Yeah. The big cars and everything.
Yeah. Even like everywhere is like shopping or something. Like everywhere's in like a strip mall kind of thing. You have.
Even the suburbs. I mean, sometimes they look like something you take out from an American movie or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all the cars, like even like the big SUVs, but the old cars, they live old American cars. So and ice hockey is huge, which kind of feels American, and the way
they celebrate in the UK.
No, it's huge in America.
Okay,
But
it does exist in the UK.
Yes, but a very low standard.
I found out that we actually have it in Spain as well. I think.
Do you have ice?
Not around my city. I guess somewhere. But
Sierra Nevada maybe at the top?
Yeah, maybe.
Andorra.
No, but I mean, it was only the second or third match, the one we watched together the other day, ice hockey wise, that I watched in my life. I never expected to see. I don't like it. That's well known. But maybe it's Swedish. It's not in my culture.
No, it's fun. I find it quite fun to watch. So you have to get used to looking for the pub.
Respectfully disagree.
And how did you find? So going back to living in Sweden, how did you find the language? I know you don't speak Swedish per se after 6 years.
I'm embarrassed to say that on camera, But that's the thing. When I arrived to Sweden, I never expected to be here, this long. I thought it was going to be like a 1-2 year stops kind of stay. So then it didn't make much sense. Of course, it helps just to socialize with locals and just to be fun maybe at meetings, because part of my job was also PR in that sense. So then it would have helped, but just thinking, I'm going to go back home in 2 years, and then Swedish is not like English. I mean, it's a very niche.
10 million people speak it, right?
Exactly.
10 billion.
Exactly. So I mean, then again, it's of course useful once you learn one language. It's easier to learn others, but still. So I never used it, but it was never a barrier. I mean, English though, it was a little bit, because it was the first time that I actually used it, like on a daily basis. In Germany, I spoke either German or Spanish, because most of my friends were Spanish. So English, believe it or not, when I first came here, it was a bit of an issue as well. The average Swedish guy spoke much better English than I did. And then there were loads of vocabulary and stuff connected to automotive industry that I didn't know about. So it wasn't so easy. In the beginning, I pretended to understand everything, but I was faking it. I had no freaking clue. So sometimes, I mean, I was at meetings and then I had to report back to Spain or something, and I was like, freaking clue what these guys said, but I made it up.
So happy getting paid. So.
Yeah, exactly. So for as long as just an inflow of money, then I'm happy.
That's good. Yeah, language is difficult. You're right. It's easy to speak English here. So for me, it's I can just get off the plane or arrive in the country and
huge advantage.
Everyone just speaks the language. Although I do often get talked to in Swedish to begin with when I walk into the shop or do stuff, and then I can get by to ask for like a coffee or a drink or a bit of food. But as soon as the conversation expands past that point, I'm like, it's meant to go into bra.
Mine is awful. I mean, I've never attended a single class or anything, but
Duolingo is how I was taught.
Yeah, I mean, just by repetition and hearing it every day, I think mine is good enough to ask for coffee or something. But I don't do it for the same reason as you just mentioned. That then I know that they're going to come back with more Swedish, and then I don't know how to answer back. So then,
but I guess for me that's part of the challenge, though, because you have that back and forth. Well, okay, you don't know it the first or the second time or third time, but you learn to then answer the question, or you learn to know what it means.
That's how it's really.
You put yourself in that scenario where you go, okay, how do I reply?
You're doing the right thing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be done, right? Not how I did it, but
you learn from the mistakes of those before you.
Yeah, but the thing is that you reach a point where you just sort of tell yourself, okay, I've been here for, let's say, 5 years. I haven't done the effort, put in the hours to learn. And then you think that you're coming back to Spain is closer and closer, because I do want to go back at some point.
When
So
you
it's
retire?
like,
Or
sorry?
when you retire? Because
I
you just
can't.
signed a long
I would
contract?
say fuck you if I was allowed, but cut it off. No. I mean, it's funny because I remember I have a friend, a Spanish one. He's been here for 12 years now. He doesn't speak Swedish either. And I used
Is that
to.
why you're friends, right?
Maybe. But when I first met him, I used to criticize him. Like, how can you be here for 5 years and not learn Swedish? Well, 8 have gone by, and I'm that person that I was.
So I'm now you. So
So please learn so that no one can say anything years from now.
Seriously.
Yes, that's my piece of advice for you. It's worth learning.
And I'm living in the city. What's been like your favourite part of Sweden? Like, what's your favourite place to go to?
Sweden.
Gothenburg. It can be be in the city, in the suburbs. What's your favourite place to go?
I've actually lived in I've forgotten, but maybe 8 to 10 different places throughout the city. From Airbnbs, maybe 1 week on each place, to longer stays like 3 months and so on. And by far, I would say that the area that I like the most, nature aside, but let's just talking neighborhoods and so on. It's Haga, I would say, and Linné. So that area is actually the place where I've lived the most, or the longest period of time.
But also one of the most expensive places to live.
It is, but this is the time where my company was paying for that. So, of course. But I mean, I really like that because it's close to Haga. Haga is like, well, you know what it is. It's cozy, it's the old town, it's low buildings, and there's some atmosphere there. It feels very real and then authentic.
Even the weekend you go to the markets and it's
exactly.
really alive, whereas a lot of Sweden feels dead a lot of the time. It's a big city by, I guess, footprint, but population is so small, so there's not many pockets of things to do. Whereas you go around London, you've got 12 million people. Every single high street's absolutely busy, and every market's busy, but here's less so. Yeah,
I love it. This area also, it's quite close to Slottsskogen, which is
the big
lung of the city in that sense. Well, not like you need it, but it's a huge park, plenty of life.
Have you seen the moose?
Yeah, that's my second thing here, I think.
Famous moose living in this park or forest.
I don't know. It's a female and a male, but I don't think they keep them apart. Maybe they're divorced. I don't know. But,
maybe. I've seen one with Nuno when he came over from the UK, but only once I've been. So.
Have you seen the rest as well, and the seals?
Yeah, but the seal doesn't really appreciate too much because they can't. They used to go around in circles.
See them anywhere.
Also, just go around in circles. You kind of feel bad because all they keep doing is swimming around in circles. Like, do they enjoy that?
Like the moose, probably if you could choose, wouldn't be.
No, but relatively they've got more freedom, I guess. But still, it's not nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we feel about that. In the beginning, I loved it. It was like, like an open zoo in a park for free.
It's like going to New York, right?
But I'm not sure if I would put it like that. But now, in retrospect, it's like, okay, it's still a zoo. I'm not sure if I like it that much now. But anyway, the park in itself is great. Just to run or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think I did the half marathon through there. So that was pretty fun.
And actually, that is also, it has to be one of the places that I like the most. And the reasons why is, this is actually maybe a shock as well, comparing to Spain. The first time I actually was in Glasgow, and I think it was on a Saturday, something like that. We were out doing a barbecue or something like that with some friends. And it was like completely crowded, let's say Saturday at noon or something. But if you could take a picture of that and just compare it to, I don't know, a park in Spain, it was like worlds apart. This is exactly what you would like your children to, live through their adolescence and childhood and all that. It was super healthy. There's no violence, no drugs, no alcohol, and nothing. It's just people having fun.
It's really country outside there, right?
I'm not sure what the reason is. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can. I have drank in the park. I mean, if you want. But they choose to do something else. It's just healthy. They're playing frisbee golf. They're, I don't know, just playing some music, whatever it is. But
it's quite calm.
It is. But the word I use the most is healthy. It's like yeah, if I was a father, which I'm not, this is what I would like to imagine my son doing. At that age, as a teenager. So that I like the most, and yeah, so that's cool again, Holger and Line.
That was a good way of ending the second part of the podcast. So welcome back to section 3 of the podcast, where we talk about kind of recapping your experience. I know you're still living here. I know you kind of
Not
still,
for long. No.
You say that, but you just signed your contract at work.
It's only 8 more years ago.
Yeah. Family. So it's all about kind of giving some advice for people who want to live abroad, move to Sweden, move anywhere in the world, and kind of just like recap your life so far here. So, like, what was your favourite saying in Swedish? Like, what would you say is like your best part of Swedish?
My favorite saying. I do have one, but I don't know how to say it in Swedish. I don't even know the words. I just know that it exists, so I can maybe explain it. But I can tell you it was quite often used at Volvo.
Okay.
We messed up a lot, so maybe that's why. But they have this saying that goes something along the lines of don't shit in the blue cabinet or inside the blue cabinet. And that's pretty much when you embarrass yourself or just mess up. It's like you shit inside the blue.
Do you have an equivalent saying in Spanish?
I don't think so. But actually, I think I do remember how it came about. I think some time ago there was only, or let's say, like the cheapest possible paint was red. They had like one color to choose from, and then all furniture was painted in this color. It's the same with the houses, right? Like the Swedish houses, they're only red. These ones that are out in the landscape. So. And so at some point, I think it was in the 19th century or so. I don't know how, but they discovered blue paint. Let's put it like that. And it was more expensive, so it was used for like fancier stuff. And then it turns out that I think they used it for some cabinets that were fancier, where they kept like the expensive cutlery or dishes and so on.
China.
Yeah, exactly, China. So that's where they kept that. And so to take the shit in the blue cabinet is like doing something foolish. Let's say.
But egg on your face.
Exactly. Oh, so you have a.
Yeah, let's go. Egg on your face?
Egg on your face?
Like,
I've never heard of it.
I don't know where it comes from, but it's like if you mess up, basically.
I mean, I'm sure we have.
It's embarrassing.
Okay. We must have some equivalent of that.
Or just copying Spanish.
Anyway. No. But what was the next question?
So I guess your recap. So what would you do differently being here? So now you've been here for
yeah.
What would if you could go back in time, what would you do differently? What would you tell your younger self to do?
What? It's will it change?
Apart from learning Swedish,
that's one thing for sure. Getting closer to locals is another one. This is something I also did. Same mistake in Germany. Maybe I had a better reason there, but sort of I socialize more with Spanish people or Spanish-speaking people. Can be from Latin America, whatever. I did the same thing here as well. I guess it's just easier, and I think,
familiar.
And I think you should have. If you're someone that is coming or traveling abroad, it's always great to have someone from your same country, because it's much easier to just have a chat from time to time. You need that feeling.
And you can compare notes and get some advice.
Yes, and it's when you need it, no one will understand you like that person can.
That's true.
That's a good piece of advice. But that being said, I don't think like you should only mingle with people from your own country. You should try to get to know the locals as well. And that's something I didn't do. I had this one person from the company, the one that showed me around and so on. So he was that for me, but he was like 10 or 15 years older than I am. So it's not the kind of guy I would hang out with all the time. You can do it maybe one friend, but he wasn't a friend in that sense. So I missed, or what I would change, one of the things is, just make some local friends that you can go out with and so on. That's one. Language is another one. But I'm not the one that really likes to give a lot of advice. I think you should actually, my best advice is go out. Don't think too much. Just
Make
travel.
mistakes.
Discover. You will make mistakes, but you will learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anyone can prevent you from making those mistakes. You need to make those mistakes to learn from them. Even if someone tells you about it, you still have to go out there and explore. So.
Yeah, it's a very good point, I think. One thing I've noticed is cocking up or doing something silly means you're able to not do it again, but also you have some stories to tell. You can relate to the people who've made similar issues or similar mistakes who've gone elsewhere, and it just becomes part of your identity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not living someone else's life. You're doing it yourself and forging your own path.
You can't always have a compass to guide you through things. It's okay to just drink.
Well, you are going further north, so you're going more, following some magnetic.
Yeah, but
where's next? Finland or Norway?
No, I don't. I think I'm done with North. I think
Arctic Circle, maybe. Only in the summer when it's not today, like.
There's one thing I like a lot about Sweden, which is that at least you get 4 seasons. And I never had that. And so in Valencia, everything is quite flat. Let's say it's 25 degrees. Of course, it ranges maybe from 5 coldest day of the year to 40 in the hottest, but still on average it's like 25 degrees. Nothing happens. Very mild winter. And here it's quite different because you do different things, depending on the time of the year that you're in. And that I like because you have to sort of adjust a little bit, and for 3-4 months. So sometimes I read, some others I can go out and practice some sport. So it's a bit cyclic, but in that sense, it's a different experience which I like. You learn to enjoy what climate gives you.
And you appreciate more the other climates when you can around it.
Exactly. So that's been quite different. That's actually something I miss when I'm in Spain. I do miss the snow. I do. Just to see it. Then after the second day, when it becomes this massive thing, then I hate it. That's exactly.
Try running on it and you fall down.
No. But just I would like to press a button, have snow for a day, and then have it gone. So
you should try that.
Yeah. You're an engineer.
So you?
I'm faking it for 8 years now. I've been going.
I have not noticed that in work.
No.
Good. And then, what advice would you give to someone traveling anywhere in the world? Not just to Sweden, but I guess your point of making mistakes and forge your own path is one thing, but if you could give someone just one nugget of advice.
This is
in all your years of wisdom and
years of wisdom. No, it's. I'm gonna need to cut here. I need to think. I'm not so sure if I can just put it in a nutshell. But
talk me through your process. What are you thinking about? Where's your mind going with that question?
I had no expectations going into Germany or going here. Well, actually, that is not true. Coming here, I expected this to be more like Germany. Maybe because I had been the only sort of long stay that I had abroad until that point. But that maybe is in itself some piece of advice, which is don't have any preconceived ideas. Mm-hmm. Just go there. I think you, by the way, are doing a very good job at that. I think you're exploring and learning and just trying to immerse yourself in the culture as much as you can. Embracing it, exactly. Not comparing to how things are in my...
Well, I'm always comparing it back to the UK.
It's inevitable, but not like wanting things to be the way they were back home. Some people do. I've met a lot of people, foreigners, immigrants throughout these years, and most of them, or many of them, actually complain or miss things, and they sort of want things here to be the same they were there. When it comes to food, when it comes to schedules, everything. And I don't think that's how you should experience it. It's a new culture, and embrace it. It's very different from mine. But it's when you go back, it's much more valuable if you actually bring with you experiences that are very different from what you're...
and maybe you adapt your life to be the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Not.
Exactly.
And the more you learn from wherever else in the world, the more you can tune life to fit you.
You know, I was very close to going back to the same company that hired me in the same place, the Spanish one, about 3 years ago, something like that. And I actually signed a pre-contract. So, and in the end, I actually broke that or didn't follow through because I know what I was signing up for. And it was very similar to the culture that I had experienced before. And they didn't want that for me anymore. After being here in Sydney for a few years, there's many things when it comes to the work environment that are much better. So I think I have as well like a responsibility to learn about the good things that I've sort of experienced here and bring them back with me when I go back to Spain. So when it comes to work environment, that means for me having a better balance between my life and work. So that's what I mean. That learn about the differences between your home country and where you are, and then try to actually learn the good stuff and bring it with you. Because, as you said, it's a mix, and you can always...
watching people do squats in the office and doing work-life balance and having that health challenge.
I mean, it's your podcast, so I didn't want to be rude, but...
That's a good part of Swedish
culture.
culture.
I'm sure you should bring that with you. I think you should maybe just explain a bit to your audience
what
it is that you do at work. I think you're an engineer, working with aerodynamics and so on. I think it's important.
I'm not mentioning that. But anyway, so Javi and I work in the same place, same office, and yesterday, being the end of February, we kicked off a health challenge, which is like a 8-week. Yeah, I did. Yeah, 8-week focus on being healthy in work and promoting that kind of work-life balance. So part of that was a meeting which the company put on all in our calendars to watch this kick-off, and Javier happened to walk past my desk and Nicole's desk, and we were watching this happen, and people were fumbling, putting shoes on, and it was quite amusing to watch. It was kind of like watching, I don't know, just try to wipe out something.
This is still my old Spanish shell, being shocked by
why are you not in a spreadsheet?
Why do we do this during working hours? To me, that's still a bit of a shock.
Yeah, but it's having that balance.
I'm getting there. But it's like having dogs in the office, for example.
That's great.
It is, but maybe not now. But during the first few days, I found myself taking pictures and just sharing those with my family. Can you believe that this is real? So
it's a dog.
I mean, I've always had a dog, but you wouldn't bring them to the office.
Better than being alone, huh?
Yeah, I tell that to someone with an allergy. But
well, that's why I don't need one part of the office.
Yeah, no. After 7 people died, you should.
Is that true?
No. I hope. Yeah, fact check this.
I put a banner on the bottom saying no one died from dog allergies.
That we know of. Yeah.
And on the your family, how often do you talk to your family? Go home, for instance? Did you change over the years?
During my first 3 years of staying here, I used to travel back home almost every month. At first, I did it because I thought I should report back to my organization, but it was more in my head. Really, no one was expecting me to do that. So because my sort of salary was a little bit dependent on that, because while I was staying abroad, I was paid more. So I tried to find a balance between seeing my family enough and my friends and so on, keeping contact, but at the same time, of course, economically it had to make sense. So I traveled at the beginning once per month or every second month or so, and then I progressively lowered the frequency to maybe 3-4 times per year. And then since I've been sort of officially living here, working here in Sweden, it's been twice per year. So only during the summertime and Christmas, mostly. Maybe if I have some, a wedding or something like that, some event.
Or big birthday.
That's not exactly. But that's more on demand, I would say. And then, of course, I talk to my family every week, my parents and so on, at least once. It's not super often, but usually Sundays, just maybe 1 hour Skype or something, just to check that they're okay. And then we have WhatsApp groups, things have changed.
It's quite easy to keep in contact with sending a written letter to someone. Back in the day.
Yeah, it's also very difficult. My mother, she cannot really point the camera at her face, so I only see the ceiling. So,
but you hear her voice.
I hear her voice, and I think it's her. It could be someone.
You're a very good impression.
Yeah, but
It's when they're asking for your bank details and your mother's maiden name, which they should know.
exactly. Income as well. No, but I think it's easier. Some I don't know, 15 years ago when we didn't have all this means of communication, maybe it was harder or you miss home more. Now I mean, it's 7 hours away if I have to fly there, and then again you can simply call or anything. So I'm feeling nostalgic sometimes, yes, but I still feel like they're wrong.
That's good.
How do you feel? So Brexit and so on. Is it like distance?
I mean,
travel?
well, the way that the UK politics is going a bit turmoil, you kind of want to forget your British because it feels for me that we feel a bit of a joke to the rest of the world, especially when I speak to everyone around the office about the UK and it gets brought up about Brexit and there's a silly idea and like since moving and like now I need to get a visa to work and it's not as easy as it once was, but also everywhere is struggling. I think it works a bit more everywhere else. But
didn't know so many colleagues from the UK at Volvo, where I spent most of my time. But the ones, of course, it is very one-sided because the ones that are at Volvo, they have been working abroad for several years. So, for most of them, at least, Brexit was a thing to happen. So, most of the people I encountered from the UK here in Sweden, they have they share the same.
But the ones in Spain,
the ones in Spain, they're not allowed to bring their dogs if they go to Benidorm or Malaga or anything. That's part of the contract, let's say, that you have signed. So it's I think it was a bad decision, but then again, I'm sure you're going to open that door.
No, it's not that kind of podcast. But I do go home quite a bit. Right now, especially, I've been here for 6 months, so I went home.
3 of those you have spent there were traveling. Come on.
Yeah, but traveling in Scandinavia.
Oh yeah.
Oslo, Stockholm, Copenhagen a few times.
Yeah, that's true.
Volleyball, I go around the country to play different teams, like Angelholm and Lund. But you don't really see anywhere in a hall. But yeah, I went home for Christmas and then went home to go on vacation, and then I will probably go back for Easter.
And your parents are coming, so.
Yeah, this weekend actually, and my girlfriend will come back as well.
Okay, so you're not feeling like alone or.
No, but it's hard, right? Because I guess it's different if you move either with your partner or you're single, because you would then.
That helps a lot.
You go out and you're not alone, right?
Yeah, that helps a lot. Some days I would have felt alone if I hadn't had my girlfriend with me. Probably you experienced that as well.
At the start, a lot. And as January was really, really bad. It was so dark and depressing, and we had like the lowest amount of sunlight, supposedly in a long time in Sweden, and it was it's low anyway.
I'm probably used to that by now, but my first winter, I wanted to kill myself. It was, even if I was, I had someone with me, I became this grumpy old man. I'm someone actually that, feels it a lot. My character changes, my mood, everything. I now have learned to handle it, and that you cannot do, as I said before, the same kind of things throughout the year.
You're buying a sun lamp as well, right?
I haven't. I don't think that will work. But I have very powerful bulbs.
That's all you need.
LED. Exactly.
Perfect. Right, that covers section 3. So let's recap. I guess the whole episode really with Javier or Javi, as you prefer to be called.
That was the best you've ever pronounced it. I'm so proud of you right now.
I always did Javier, not Javi.
Give me a hat. Come on.
Can we do this on camera? Yeah. It shows that we were friends. So I really enjoyed something I didn't know about you, like the reasons you moved and going back and forth in Germany. Obviously we talked to the most days in the office and give each other a lot of stick from time to time with various things and talk about work and current things, but not necessarily your kind of journey here, which for me is interesting to see and learn from your mistakes or your experiences. Obviously making my own mistakes still along the way, but I really enjoyed your the fact that you moved and everything was paid for. I'm quite jealous of that. But
I was making so much money back then.
Sending it home.
Yes. I mean, sometimes in some way it feels like a decline from the quality of life and the standard of life I had back then. Is I have to pay for everything now. So.
Yes, but no, it was really good, and I hope everyone listening or watching enjoyed the podcast. And if you did, please, subscribe to the podcast, share it, post it on social media. Yeah, send a link out to people. I'll send it to Javier. He'll put it all over Spain. And
sure.
We'll soon be.
Most people don't speak English, You have to add subtitles.
You can close caption it for me.
I will.
That'd be good.
I will.
Or you can dub it in Spanish.
Okay.
You can do my voice as well.
I'll do your voice as well.
Yeah, I don't have a Spanish accent. So. With a English Spanish accent?
I'll try my best. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so I guess it's the closing statement. So yeah, if you did enjoy it or you have any feedback, please mention it and get in touch. The only way we grow or get better at this is to talk about it, and hopefully you found some nugget of information which is helpful to you, or may at the least found it enjoyable, entertaining. I know Javier's and saying to listen to.
Feel free to send your questions. I mean, maybe that's something you should do as well. Just collect if people are interested in any specifics. We can always help.
Yeah, it's a good point. Any FAQs or questions that we get in?
I'm saying this now that you have 2 followers.
Yeah.
You can me. It was 2,000 and just chat it on.
Yeah. Well, we can filter that later. But yeah, for now, it's still quite short. But yeah, as Javier said, if you have any questions or want to reach out, and we can tailor those requests or use social media to message back and things. So, yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.